So years ago, we were hiring for an operations director for our bakehouse. We have probably 60 people that work in the bakehouse. We've only got about 20,000 square feet. So when you come to our complex, the industrial complex that the bakehouse is in, you'll see that we have like one of the smallest buildings, but we have the most cars parked around that building. We're very hands-on. We make a lot of small batch things. There's just a lot of employees there working, making pies in the artisanal way, small batch. So we needed an operations manager that came from a bigger food manufacturing company that could help bring our company that was here, up to here. Whether it was reorganizing the floor layout, reorganizing how the work was done, production schedule, controlling inventory, and all this kind of stuff that I don't know anything about. I know enough to do an interview to see if somebody's trying to pull the wool over my eyes, I guess. But anyway, we interviewed this guy, and I was so impressed years ago. And one of the questions that I asked him was, leadership is so important to us. Servant leadership is so important. And if you want to know more about servant leadership, read Robert Greenleaf's book, Servant Leadership. And, it is, how are you building a team? How are you lifting other people up? How are you making their lives better? How are they following you? Why do they want to follow you? And so I've read a lot about leadership. And the way Stephanus answered the question was give me an example of people who you have developed and you have brought up. Who have you promoted? Tell me about it. And man, I couldn't barely get the question out of my mouth, and he just lit up. And you could tell he was very passionate about leading other people. And he gave me a couple of examples of people that he had worked with that were reporting to him that he was able to spot that they were on the wrong seat on the bus. And even saying that phrase, it lets me in on, the fact that you have read Jim Collins's book, Good to Great, so that kind of lingo, some of these, I guess, are catchphrases that a lot of us who have read a lot of business books or studied business have read, and that's another question. Tell me some of the business books you've read. If you want to come and run my business, are you passionate about business? Because I am. I was gobbling business books for many years. And Jim Collins is one of my favorite business authors. Good to Great's one of the best books that I can recommend. So he was saying he knew that this man was on the wrong seat on the bus. How do you know that? How do you know that, Stephanus? And he's like, this man was so unhappy. And the example he gave me was this man who, and I believe he was working in South Africa. And Stephanus has come from just the kind of company that we were looking at, a huge company. I think he was at Coca-Cola. I know that he was at Coca-Cola, but he had been at other companies too. And I think he was in South Africa at the time. And he was working with this guy that reported to him, and the guy was in shipping and receiving, and he was a very unhappy man. He was good at what he did. Stephanus took the time to really sit down and talk with this guy to figure out what his deal was. Why are you so miserable? You're a really great hard worker, but you're miserable. What's your problem? For someone to tell me that they took time to kind of dig deep and figure out what was going on with this guy, he didn't want to lose him, and he didn't want to see him unhappy. Who wants someone working with you or under you in your department or your store who's miserable? And so what a great, intelligent leader. It's called emotional intelligence, and Stephanus had emotional intelligence. He figured out that this guy was unhappy because he was capable of so much more. So he actually set this guy up to take some more training classes, to take some higher level leadership, higher level management classes somehow throughout that organization. And he set that guy up. Maybe it wasn't even with the organization. Maybe it was outside of the company. But, that's a really great person to help somebody figure out what they really want to do in life. And Stephanus helped this guy. And he stayed in touch with this guy. He ended up leaving that current job. So he lost his really great, shipping and receiving guy who was really capable. But he set him up, and this guy just moved up the ladder in these different companies to higher level leadership positions, and this guy's making a lot more money. He's a lot happier. He's able to, troubleshoot and do things that he was capable of doing. He felt he was being held down. He knew that he was capable of more, and nobody else was helping him to see the light. Get him on another seat on the bus, or get him off the bus and allow him to go back out into the world and get that education that he needed. But I remember that, man. I was just so impressed at even how Stefanis told the story. He was so passionate. What is it to you, Stefanis, if this guy succeeds or stays, or, it's just going to be more trouble for you to have to try to hire and find and do all these interviews to find another guy to replace him or whatever. But no, he was just so passionate about developing people. That impressed me the most in this interview. His passion for wanting to help his fellow human being, right? And what is your passion, And if I was to sit down with you and you were to interview me, or I was to interview you or whatever, what would really, get you talking? What interests you the most that you would start talking and not want to even shut up, But anyway, we loved Stefanis. He was so smart. I was just so impressed. We got to know his wife, and I told her just how great he was. And it was so sad when he left, man. He was only at Achatz Pie Company for a short time. He was working to get his United States citizenship. So when he got his citizenship, he went back to Coca-Cola. Of course, Coca-Cola made him an offer he couldn't refuse, paid him double what we were able to pay him. So I don't blame him for leaving, but we really love Stefanis. And he's a guy that we have called on. Can you come in and help us out with, these other things? Because he just was a wealth of knowledge. And I know that he really, truly loves people. I don't feel that, I was inconveniencing him or anything. So because of his true, kind heart that just wants to help people. Stefanis, and he was from South Africa. That's my business advice for the day, man. What are you passionate about? That's what you should be doing. But whatever you're doing, it really should be, part of what gets you up in the morning, what gets you enthused and what gets you inspired is the team that you're working on. Are there people on your team that you understand what seat on the bus they should be on? And do you have the authority to move them around in your company? That's what I had read somewhere was, a really good level 4 leader knows what seat on the bus they should be. They know exactly what office, what department, they know what, what they should be doing, and that's great. But a level 5 leader knows how to place everybody on the team and what seat other people should be on. And if you can really, understand human nature and where others should be when you're setting up your business, you're setting up your team, and move people around accordingly, that's a level 5 leader. So I wish you all the best, you guys. Thanks for joining me today. Last week's video, I talked about the one thing you should do before quitting your job. So go check out that video after this one if you'd like. Subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Share this video with other people. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you being here today. I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.